Today's prospect is not some no-name youngster from the dark depths of Tier 3. In fact, this might be one of the most famous and already pretty well known young players in the entire scene. Liam MaiL09 Tuchel first rose to prominence as a 13-year-old, streaming his Face-It pugs. Much was made of his age, with every post and every clip referencing it in the title. Thanks to playing in these high-level pugs, all the clips going viral, and of course playing the ECA ladder with a younger Swedish mix, MaiL09 was bombarded with academy offers, at one point playing for Little Mix, but eventually going on to join Godsend, which would be the place he really honed his craft. On Young Gods is when he would actually break out, thanks to a pretty decent placement, I think finishing 3rd in the Swedish Elite Series, basically the top Swedish league, outplacing a number of more experienced teams and winning a lot of heads-to-heads with full-grown adults, while he was still only 15 and his squad were relatively young. This top placement painted a picture, not just of a kid who's a fun story and great to clickbait, but of a legitimate rising star. He would go on to pug with Draken, which is what got his foot in the door with Johnny Speeds, and eventually, in February of this year, led to his signing. That's where we pick up the story. Everyone has seen the flicks, the highlights, the headlines, everyone's seen that 13-year-old talent spammed all over the place. But let's dig into a demo to really find out what he's doing round by round, what specifically he does so well. I've picked out this demo against Gen 1 on Ancient, an iconic map and a really massive performance from MaiL09 himself, but also use some of the quieter rounds, some of the ecos, anti-ecos, rounds where he goes one and done, just to show you some clips as well from other demos to find out little details he has across his map pool, not just in Ancient. I'm Kingt, he's MaiL09, and this is Prospects. Right out the gate, we have one of MaiL09's greatest strengths on full display. His T-side pistols have clocked in at a remarkable 1.47 rating this year and are a reflection of what he does so well. His crosshair placement is near perfect, he plays off the shoulder with good spacing, and also does a great job isolating angles and converting fights. We also see in this round a very clear playstyle cue, where MaiL09 is left to hold temple and then close out the round post-plant. We see him isolating fights, and he grabs a triple, but this 1v4 is just too much to do. Johnny Speeds go on to win this force spy in round 2, with MaiL09 showing off some classic trader play, finding a frag on the bomb site, and then an exit kill to deny one of the weapons. We can really see in these kinds of rounds the way MaiL09 plays on the T side, slower paced and cautious, not forcing anything. He checks for the mid push and then plays anti-flash behind the 2 leading riflers on the approach through Jag. It's not the flashiest round as far as the shots he hits, but it's a great example of some of the skills and details that might go overlooked. The kind of details that make the Baby Rops comparison more realistic. This is an anti-force buy round, with Johnny Speeds facing a heavy mid lane in the early round, contesting their lane control. MaiL09 is responsible for the flash into Jag before the plan gets thrown out the window in the face of the mid-rush. I love the use of the deep grenade into long, reading the rotation after Sapek pulls lane clear, and finding an easy kill late into the round. He then retreats into lane to cover the flanks and play for the bomb timer. The site falls, and MaiL09 shows us again why he's the closer on the team, prioritizing his survival and winging out the 1 versus 2 to close out the round. Round 4 is a bit quieter, so let's talk skill set. Really what amazes me is how strong MaiL09's read on the game looks. He's rarely caught off guard and always seems aware of where the gaps in the round exist. It's critical to understand this because of his pre-aim heavy and very prepared shooting style. This is critical for a player who's going to be trading in closing rounds, where the mental side of the game really comes to the fore. It's also a large part of what allows him to maintain such a ridiculous headshot percentage, as his crosshair is often perfectly placed for the fights he's going to take. In this round, we see a gap seized upon, though a whiffed gunfight ends the play prematurely. The anticipation was correct, just a bit of a mechanical whiff there. Round 5 is an absolute corker. We get to see a variety of things that he does well, in a round where things are a little chaotic. The fast A play has been called for, with the T side finding themselves in a 3v4 really quickly. Well, MaiL09 makes a smart play, jumping up above the smokes that have created a lot of the confusion to find a frag. He doubles up on a CT mistake, then makes an incredible rotation, wrapping back to mid to catch a CT in red room, trying to change his own approach. This play was not enough, however, as he still needs to go and win a 1v1 to close out the round. An incredible display of awareness and positional play. Now his aim is quite pretty, driven by the aforementioned crosshair placement, with really tight bursting to go along with it. His aim style is almost reminiscent of Nico, with complete control over the smaller adjustments that look incredible aesthetically. Now, he doesn't make those huge flicks that we associate with an aimer like, let's say, Boros, always my go-to for this kind of thing, because when he's caught off guard, his adjustment, that flick speed over, isn't actually that strong. He's a kind of player who'll make the big adjustments before even starting the fight, but then have absolutely insane precision over the little adjustment needed to make the shot actually land. In this sense, his mechanics are sort of a reflection of his style, where he's second to none in the fights he's expecting and ready for, but can struggle a little bit when caught off guard by a slight off-angle, sudden appearance of an enemy. We're back on the rifles in round 8, with a more aggressive play for MaiL09. Lane control is taken in conjunction with the IGL, which progresses into a mid-take. Going through Donut into A, we see some more micro details that I liked a lot. The strafing jump to bait out a shot, the counter strafe to avoid the AWP shot again, then the anticipation and crosshair placement to get the 2 frags on sight. It's a shame he doesn't stick the 1v1, but my lord, was I impressed with everything that came up before it. His intuition is insane, and even on rounds where he's slightly missed the timing or, he doesn't quite land the shot, he's still very aware of what's going on and what could be presented. This from a player so young is incredible, and I expect it to get much stronger as he progresses through the scene and gets more experience playing alongside players who've been around a while. Now, something to note, he does occasionally play at the point of the pack. He has an incredible stat line in half buys, and he's incredibly effective with a Tech 9 specifically, but on rounds where he does it with an AK, it doesn't tend to be a strength. He's not really able to prepare himself, anticipate, read what's coming as effectively when he's thrown into the full face of the chaos. We see aggression tried again here just to close out the half. It doesn't work out for MaiL09, but it's productive for the team overall, so hey, does his job, dies for the cause. It's a round 1. Onto the defensive end, where his pistol stats seem strangely weak on the surface. A flat 1.00 on HLTV is not exactly superstar stuff. Going through the demos though, we find that it's highly dependent on position and just game by game, round by round, strat by strat. Even on his strongest map, Mirage, there are anti-stratted setups that remove MaiL09 from his typical positions and fights, even sometimes keeping it out of the action until the round is already lost. This kind of thing is inevitable and it can be disheartening, so I'm glad I still find highlights when he's able to play in his way. This round is actually a pretty good example of it. Love to see it. The CT side overall is much cleaner for MaiL09, and his CT rifles are really the most potent in his arsenal. He's also far more effective in his early fights, typically finding way more opening kills than opening deaths, even if he is not typically the kind of guy you associate with early fights. Add to this his natural feel in the mid-round, and you've really got yourself a star on the defensive end. He has amazing spray with the M4, something that not everyone can brag about in CS2. And this round we have a bit of our anticipation letting him down. He's really focusing on clearing bottom mid, gets walked up on, surprised, and can't adjust. This round really displays a lot of patience. No unforced error during the mid-exchange, as the cutout is never mollied, which allows MaiL09 to just sit and wait. After this pause, he's able to peel one of the lane players off with an easy headshot, then smokes the rest off rather than overcommitting. As soon as bomb is spotted ramp, he rotates, throws a great flash to set up another fight for his team, and finally gets traded to close out the round. A very solid, very principled play in this round. Now MaiL09 is generally a rotator, being allowed to pick and choose his moments and places to fight in most rounds. Anubis and Inferno are the ones where he's absolutely rampant, taking fights in whatever manner he chooses, and ends up with a rating of over 1.3 in full buy versus full buy rounds this year. This is a great example of the clean CT openers MaiL09 finds. Really creative round as well. He's run boosted deep into mid to take a fight, using his crosshair placement to open up the round perfectly. He then shows off his polish and his mid-round decision-making, anticipation. He flanks the T's in A main, he grabs a frag, then focuses on his utility to delay the A players. He uses a molly, a nade, and then a smoke, all of them thrown to keep himself alive and keep those T's shut off. He takes an off angle at the back of A main, which gets him another free frag before he finally goes down. That's a round opened up, thrown into chaos, closed out, all by one guy, making a lot of one-up plays, but very intelligent ones at that. Now, something that's been key in a lot of these rounds, and that's really noticeable in demos, is that he's got a lot of trust in Draken, and the two of them really set up strong holds and defensive positions when they're together. Their Inferno demonstrates this perfectly, as MaiL09 often pairs up with Draken at long to just rip T-sides apart, and his spray, that chemistry, everything you want to see. And it's what you see from really top teams over and over again. So I'm glad he's shown his ability to develop it once. Maybe he'll be able to do it again on another team at another level. Now finally, another opening fight won mid. This kid is a sublime talent who only has a few mental things to figure out properly to truly become special. His anticipation and the precision in his mechanics are truly spectacular, and that mental aspect in terms of his read of the game, the chess he's able to play at such a young age, is truly unteachable. Alright, that's the demo we just jumped through. Yeah, man, I'm absolutely adoring what I'm seeing. Now let's just talk about our grading. You know, as per tradition, we have to have our grades given out for an episode of Prospects. Now we do have, in terms of mechanics, the explosive stuff, probably not really a strength, but the control is so filthy. Like how he controls the fights, the crosshair, the spray, his positioning, everything is what I want to see. So in terms of, you know, my little baby Rops doing all those things right, I've got to give him huge amounts of credit. So not too explosive, but certainly insane amounts of control. Just mastering all those little details that I need him to. In terms of his current level versus predicted level, obviously a guy so young with such limited experience shouldn't score particularly highly. But he doesn't do a lot wrong. And he doesn't give me that sort of very raw, untested sort of energy in his demos. I'm still going to dock him a few points just for my own, like, sort of cautious approach to this. Like, I don't want to overvalue his current play just due to the opposition and due to his limited experience. But his current level is pretty strong. His potential, pretty nuts. Like, we're talking top 10 rifles in the world coming soon, I think. So, I'm going to score him very highly on that. He's been absolutely insane for Johnny Speeds. A few consistency woes, but generally a player who's shown off insane tangible and intangible factors at this level and at such a young age. Yeah, again, keep reiterating the age thing, but it's significant and impressive. Alright, if you enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment telling me your thoughts on MaiL09 and on the new format. Hopefully it catches on, hopefully people like it, otherwise, yeah, we'll switch back. And it's not the end of the world, it's just a bit of extra editing work. But yeah, that's all for this one. Sub if you want to see more. Remember that members get access to demo reviews of different prospects, including the prospect who's going to be the prospect for the next episode. They also get the right to vote on who that player is, so be sure to become a member if you want access to all of that. Alright, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.